If you want to build a rock solid core, if you want to reduce or even eliminate back pain and even get six-pack abs, you're in luck. Because in today's edition of Tonal Hacks, I'm going to show you a variation on the standing Paloff press here done on tonal that's going to blow your mind, it's going to blow up your core and take your core strength to absolutely new heights and levels. I'm Coach Jackson, one of the original coaches on tonal. I've starred and written many of the most popular programs that you've probably done. I helped create the exercise library. I also have coached over 400 private clients using this machine. I wrote the book on abs, Amazon #1 best-selling, 7 Secrets for Chiseled Abs. I also won San Francisco Magazine's Best Trainer for Abs Award as well. So I know a thing or two about tonal, and I also know a thing or two about abs. So let's dive into the standing Paloff press and let's show you how the current version is done on tonal. Then I'm going to talk about some of the pros and cons of that. And then I'm going to dive into the tonal hack, the variation, and show you how you can make this exercise so much better so you feel it more, so you get more time under tension, build more core strength, and again, really take your core strength and stability to new heights and levels. Now, the reason I love the standing Paloff press so much, and if you've worked out on tonal before, you're probably familiar with it. And the reason I love it so much, it's my favorite core strength and stability exercise of all time, is because it's building the foundation of your core that's necessary. It's gonna help you lift more weights because you're gonna build that core strength. It's gonna help you, again, reduce or eliminate back pain. So if you sit for long periods of time during the day, like I do, at a computer programming people's workouts. Also, if you wanna get a six-pack or you wanna build that bikini body, it's gonna help you there as well. Because a lot of crunches, a lot of the more advanced abdominal exercises that most people wanna do, that puts a lot of stress and tension on the low back, specifically the spine. And by building up the core strength and stability with a move like the Paloff press, we put ourselves in a better position to be able to withhold and withstand a lot of that stress and pressure on our spine. Let's dive in, show you the current exercise, talk about why it's not maybe as good as it could be, and then let's go into the variation. So the standard exercise, the way it's done on tonal, is you stand here, you ideally try to get a perpendicular angle here between your arms and the cable. You hold the handle, you turn on the weight, you press the handle out away from your body. That's when you feel all that tension. You retract the cable a few inches by just moving your arms, not rotating your body, but just moving your arms. You pull back and then back in and then repeat. This is the current version, how it's done on tonal. A couple of nuances and things I want to mention about that. First is the only reason why we actually retract the cable there and move our arms is because tonal can't count the rep unless the cable retracts. The traditional version of the Paloff press, how it's taught if you go to a physical therapist office or a gym, is just an out and then in movement. It's just this movement here where you're putting all that tension on the core and then taking it off, and then placing the tension on the core and then taking it off. But because tonal can't count the rep, it doesn't know that you actually did anything there. It needs you to retract the cable a few inches in order to count the rep. That's why that little addition is there. So if you've ever done this exercise on tonal and thought, gosh, that's funny, why do we have to move our arms? It's so tonal can count the rep. But we can strategically use that in the hack. So let's table that, and I'm gonna come back to that when I show you the variation. But the bad thing about this exercise, or the more difficult thing, is that your time under tension is actually pretty low. Because what most people do is they tend to just press their arms out, move quick, and then back in. So if you look at how much time under tension I'm getting, it's pretty minimal, because the time under tension is only when my arms are away from my body. That's the only point when my core is really feeling the tension and having to fight against it. When this handle is in towards my body, up against my body here, up against my navel, there's very little tension. I'm not feeling the tension and the pressure, especially with only 25 pounds on here. I'd have to crank this weight up to 50, 60 pounds before I really felt a lot of tension with this handle so close to my body. So the closer the handle is to your body, the less tension you're gonna feel. So when you press the handle away, again, that's where you're feeling all the stress and tension. So if we know that all the tension comes when we press the handle away from our body, why don't we take advantage of that? Why don't we make that useful to us and again, take that to our advantage. And we can with this variation. So instead of pressing out and then pulling back in and moving your arms, this is the tonal hack or the variation I want you to try. So feet shoulder width apart, toes slightly pointed out, anchor yourself into that ground, feel like you're spreading the floor, get those glutes, that booty activated. I'm gonna hold the handle again close to my body. I'm gonna turn the weight on. Now I'm gonna press the weight out. Now here's the variation. I'm gonna go from shoulder to shoulder, only moving my arms, shoulder to shoulder. I'm keeping that tension on my body the entire time. So I'm not pulling my hand back in towards my body. I'm also not removing the tension from my core. So now when I do 10 reps on tonal, I'm getting time under tension for the entirety of the 10 reps. All 10 reps are now under tension, and this is much more challenging. I'm gonna do one last one and then weight off. Holy cow. So that variation, that standing Paloff variation where you press out, keep the weight out, then just go shoulder to shoulder with your arms. Again, I'm not rotating my hips. I'm not rotating my legs. I'm not moving my whole lower body or my whole upper body. I'm just moving my arms back and forth. And I'm going shoulder to shoulder. Now, Tonal's gonna yell at you. Tonal's gonna say, retract the cable further. It's gonna probably throw an error. That's okay. In this particular instance, I want you to forget about Tonal. Say, hey, Tonal, I know what I'm doing here. I'm doing advanced action Jackson tonal hack. Don't worry about it, my friend, because Tonal's gonna get a little angry at you here. And that's okay. If Tonal yells at you, don't worry. Just let him know that I said it was okay. But Tonal's gonna yell at you and tell you to retract the cable a little further. Again, don't worry about it. We want a small retraction of the cable as we go past our other shoulder and then drive it back to the other shoulder. Now on this exercise, again, notice my lower body, my upper body isn't really moving. It's just my arms that are moving. And then I'm just bracing here in my core. And if you've ever heard the term bracing, you say, gosh, I don't really know what that means. Bracing means that take your hands, put them just over your hips like a Superman or a Superwoman stance. Breathe into your diaphragm. That's gonna expand in 3 dimensions right here. And then press out, pressing out again. That's bracing. That's what I'm doing during the Paloff press. So that tension I'm feeling in my quote unquote core is not only coming from spreading the floor and feeling my glutes activated, but it's also coming from bracing, which is into the diaphragm, out, and then holding that tension and taking short, quick breaths as I go through the movement. So my breathing pattern is gonna be it's a short, quick breath pattern in order to keep that tension in the core the entire time. That's how you're gonna get more out of this exercise. You're gonna feel it more, you're gonna get more time under tension, because now the entirety of this time under tension clock is gonna be where your core is actually feeling the effects of the weight, having to fight against the weight. So you're gonna get a heck of a lot more out of it. You're gonna build a stronger core, you're gonna have less back pain, and you're also going to build the foundation that you need in order to get that 6-pack or that bikini body or whatever else throws your hair back. I'm Coach Jackson. This was the tonal hack on the standing Paloff press. Check out some of my other tonal hacks. And remember, action is the difference between dreaming and succeeding.